We've been waiting 6 months, and here it is. The new Mac Pro is now live. About a minute ago, the little buy button showed up on Apple's website, and I have not looked at it yet. I haven't clicked it, so let's do it together, shall we? Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, I don't know what to expect here. Choose your Mac Pro. Okay, so they've got a rack configuration. Starting at $5,000, as you'd expect. Let's hit configure. Oh my god. Wow, $7,000 for the 28-core Xeon. Woo! Okay, so $1,000 to go from the 8 to the 12 core. Let's see how much this thing costs in total. I'm gonna go for the 28 core. Oh, and we're all... This is just ridiculous. We're already at $13,000. Okay, memory. Oh! What? I can't believe this. This is so expensive. Okay, 48 gigs costs $300 extra. That's just adding, if my math is correct, that's just adding 2 more 8 gigabyte DIMMs is $300. So an 8 gigabyte DIMM, according to Apple, is a $150 component. Okay, 96 gigabytes is $1,000. 192, $3,000. I can't. 1.5 terabytes. Okay, fair enough. 1.5 terabytes is a ludicrous amount of RAM. So $25,000. Let's do it. Let's see. Okay, we're already at 38 grand. Oh my god. I'm gonna put a poll right now, or I don't know which side it's on. How expensive do you think it's gonna be? Vote now, and we're gonna find out who's correct. Okay, here we go. Graphics. So the 580X. I cannot believe that this thing comes with a 580X. That is literally on par with the graphics in this MacBook Pro. That's ridiculous. Anyway, the Vega 2 is $2,400. Oh my god. So the Vega 2 Duo, so there's 2 of them. It's 4 GPUs essentially, is $10,800. Okay, we're already at 50 grand. Okay, well, I was wrong. Okay, coming soon, 8 terabyte SSD. That's good, because I was really confused when the MacBook Pro had 8 terabytes and then the Mac Pro didn't. But apparently that's not ready yet, so let's do 4 terabytes. Wow. $50,200, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, since I started filming, the afterburner card and stainless steel frame with wheels got added, so it's actually $52,599 total. You know, credit to the people who were like, it's gonna cost 50 grand, it's gonna cost 50 grand. It's pretty much exactly 50 grand. Well, actually, you could add the trackpad, so now it's a little bit more. So, obviously, I think for a lot of people, and we're not even just talking about, like, YouTube content creators like yours truly. This is, like, a whole nother level. We're talking about production studios. And even then, most people probably aren't going to be going for the $50,200 model. So why don't we go back through this and scale it back down to something... I was about to say the word reasonable, but I think we're well past reasonable. Now, personally, if we're going to talk about the storage here, I would stay with 256. Honestly, I think it's absolutely baloney that the base model has 256. And we'll talk more about that later, I promise. But the thing is, in a lot of Apple computers, you don't have a choice. In this MacBook Pro, the storage is soldered in there, so there's no change in it. But in a Mac Pro, with a lot of PCIe slots, you can add NVMe drives, you can add hard drives. So there's a lot of opportunity to add storage, which means I wouldn't pay $400 for Apple's 1 terabyte SSD. I'd just add it in myself. So for the graphics, I'm gonna stick with the Radeon Pro Vega 2. If I were doing this myself, which I'm not, I'd probably stick a Radeon 7 in there. Something like that. Maybe do dual Vega 64s instead of paying... Because the Radeon 7 is not inexpensive, but it's like $600 or $700 compared to $2,400. So I would probably do that. But for this case, we'll put the Vega 2 in it just to humor them. So let's go back. Okay, we very clearly aren't going to need 1.5 terabytes of RAM because we want this thing to be significantly more pro than, for example, my 5K iMac right there. I personally would be fine with 32 if it weren't for the fact that it's only 4 DIMMs. In the name of keeping it reasonable, let's try 48. Let's see how that works out for us. And then I'm going to go back to the 12 core. I think the 8 core is stupid and it should not exist. Okay, well, we're under 10. Look at that. Now, let's say also if I wanted to just stick with the Radeon Pro 580X and then upgrade the graphics myself, that would put us at $7,300. That's really bad value. I'm sorry, but I understand that the Mac Pro is not for me. I know when I made the video talking about the Mac Pro back when they announced it in WWDC, I had a lot of comments when people were like, you can't say that the Mac Pro is bad because it's not meant for you. And then I also had an equal number of comments that were saying, how can you say the Mac Pro isn't that bad? You should be saying that it's worse. For me personally, I would love the idea of a Mac Pro. I think this is a great machine. Not great pricing, but a great machine. Personally, my 5K iMac or something like an iMac Pro gets the job done. But the big appeal for creators like myself is not what the iMac can offer right now, but what the Mac Pro can offer in 3-4 years. Keep pointing at this thing over there. My 5K iMac is the 2019. It's got the i9 9900K, the Vega 48, 32 gigs of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. This Mac Pro is within the realm of my 5K iMac, and in fact, the iMac is going to beat it in a lot of cases, and it's still $6,000 for the Mac Pro when I paid $3,300 for that iMac back in March. So the base model, I think, has been specifically designed to deter people from buying it. It's a weird thing to think about. Let's say, for example, the base Mac Pro, if we kept the $6,000 price tag, came with the 12-core processor, 48 gigs of RAM. We'll even keep the 580X and a terabyte SSD. If that's what it came with at the starting price of $6,000, then it's still not great. You're still paying a significant Apple tax. But the big thing is the upgradability. This iMac is a really great device. It has all that horsepower plus the 5K display all bundled together in a great package. But you can't really change it. The 9900K is the highest that thing will ever be able to go. There's nowhere that you can upgrade from. The graphics are soldered. And sure, yeah, I could upgrade the RAM to like 128 gigabytes. That's super easy. And arguably, you could upgrade the storage because they are Blade SSDs and you can use an adapter if you pull the logic board out. But obviously, that's a lot of work. And the appeal of a Mac Pro for people like myself is even if you go for the lower spec model, you can change it, you can upgrade it. I would love to be able to add 32 terabytes of storage and just stick it in this iMac, but that's not feasible. You can't do that on an iMac. So I do understand the argument when people complain about the base model and say, oh, it's not meant for you. This is a pro machine. It's not meant for prosumers. It's an understandable argument, but the way that I see it is that the base Mac Pro could have been for a huge amount of people that would have still been willing to pay more for this Mac Pro, make no mistake, but we're not going to be paying twice as much as an iMac to get worse specs and performance. And I think that was intentional. You'd think with a $6,000 machine such as this, on Apple's side of things, the benefits of providing a base model that can be used by a lot of people would outweigh the extra costs of the components to make that a reality. But what makes me very interested is the effect that this is going to have on the old Mac Pro. Now, You guys have seen the videos that I make. I'm not a fan of the Trash Can Mac Pro. Let's not forget the video that I made earlier this year where I pretty much ragged on it for being really, really bad value, way too expensive. You can get like other workstations with the same era CPUs, like 6, 8, 10 core for literally $400. And I think a lot of the reason for that was that there was no alternative. Up until recently, a lot of people didn't have any other choice. That was the newest Mac Pro around, so they had to keep using them. But now that there's a new kid on the block, I am very interested to see what happens to the resale value. Might be worth another look. In fact, let's go on eBay and just check out what's going on. I'm just gonna look up Mac Pro and see what we can find. I would be surprised if anything has really moved this soon. So I don't expect much. Wow, it moved. I've never seen a 12 core go under like $2,500. Granted, this one doesn't have an SSD, but $1,800 for the 12 core, 64 gigs of RAM? That did not take long. Okay, now I'm actually kind of interested. Obviously, stuff like the iMac Pro 5K iMacs are still better than these Trash Can Mac Pros, but if these things get cheap enough, like $1,800 for this 12 core model with 64 gigs of RAM, that's an interesting price point. Hopefully this new Mac Pro will drop these older things in value to the point where they might even be able to compete with like a 2018 Mac Mini. A lot of people get the 6-core i7 Mac Minis and use those with an eGPU. If this thing gets down into the low $1,000, $1,200 range for like the 8 or the 12 cores, that would be an interesting alternative. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. I'll keep you guys updated with what goes on there. So that'll do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the new Mac Pro? Who's it for? Why is it? Let me know that. As usual, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please consider following me on Twitter @LukeMiani. Don't forget to join my subreddit, and I'll see you all in the next video.